Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlipp. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. So again, I want to start off with a little bit of news and notes here. There is actually some big news to talk about, but we'll get to that. First of all, and this has been out there for a little while, but I thought I'd bring it up. Netflix is going to have the quarterback series again, so I'm looking forward to that. The last one, it took me a long time to finally sit down and watch it. And actually, we don't have Netflix right now, but we're always vacillating back and forth, get it, drop it, whatever. It took me a long time to come around to watching it. I really enjoyed it when I watched it. And this year, they actually have 3 good quarterbacks, not a third random guy that doesn't even play. They have Kirk Cousins again, who's not necessarily good, but he's, a starter, and I think he's a fun guy to follow along with. Joe Burrow, obviously interesting, talented. And then, most importantly, Jared Goff. Now, unfortunately, they're following Jared Goff in a very good season where they went 2-0 against the Packers and whatnot, but it'll be pretty cool to be able to see a little bit behind the scenes for all of these, but particularly for Jared Goff and the Lions, in my opinion. So, no idea when... Oh, here, right in front of your face. Premieres July 8th, so 1 week. So, that should be pretty cool. Obviously, this is from last year. We're not starting for this year, although they're probably recording for this year, so we'll have to see how that's going. And again, as I've said before, there are so many of these shows now. The odds that the Packers are not going to be hit by this, and I say hit by this because if I had to guess, most fans are opposed to the Packers being involved in any of this. I am in favor of it. I understand there's a big fear of it's going to make everybody worse. Obviously, it didn't affect the Lions very much. Everyone's terrified of that. I want as much content, insight, everything as is humanly possible. So whether it's one of the 3 hard knocks that they have, or the quarterback series, or whatever else they're building out there these days, between NFL Films and Omaha Productions, I'm excited to, one of these days, get some insights into the Packers. And I'm sure I'll be disappointed and upset, and my opinion of everybody will go down. But I still want it, all right? I just want it. Just let me want what I want and enjoy what I enjoy, okay? Speaking of, I thought this was really interesting. San Diego Chargers legend LaDainian Tomlinson signs an $11.5 million deal with Netflix for a 7-episode series chronicling his iconic journey with the Bolts. Do you know the highest amount of money LaDainian Tomlinson made in a year? Not like actually in a year, but as far as his per year average. His biggest contract was 8 years, $60 million, which comes out to $7.5 million per year. Now, again, $60 million plus, I don't know how much he made in total. I could probably look that up in a second here, but the bottom line is, this is a massive amount of money. I mean, for anybody, but you think, especially for guys from back in the day, today, running backs will get this amount of money and more. But for LaDainian, I mean, can you imagine that? I mean, first of all, a lot of his money is, depending on how smart he is with investing and everything else. But you figure you got your investments over there growing that you're not touching, and then you got a pile of money that, unless you're drawing down from your accounts, I don't know, it's whittling a little. And then Netflix comes along and they're like, would you like the biggest amount of money for 1 year you've ever seen in your entire life? That's so much freaking money. Man, I tell you what, if I'm Adrian Peterson, or Adrian Peterson's agent, representative, whatever, I'm on the phone with Netflix immediately. Please. This dude is broke again. And still, he's going to blow, 12 million, 15 million, whatever you can give him in about, a week, but still, could really use that money. But very happy that Netflix has committed to this. Again, I don't have it, but it's making me want to come back in if they can get a bunch of different, pretty cool things like this. 11.5 million. How much money do they make in 7 episodes? They're going to make money on that? I don't understand the magnitude of the amount of money Netflix makes. To go to Netflix and be like, hey, look, we had an idea for LaDainian, and we wanted to do like a 7-episode series kind of going through his journey. And they're like, well, I guess, but I can only give you like 10 to 12 million because, it's just kind of a small little thing. What? It's wild. It's kind of a crazy thing because they don't make money directly from any one thing. So it's not a matter of, we're going to make back 12 on this. It's kind of a matter of, here's the amount of money we make. We need to spend, obviously less than that, but a good amount to fill Netflix with as much high-quality content as possible. And so when something comes along, you've got to kind of like fit that in there somewhere. It's such a weird model that they have. By the way, the total, he made about $50 million in his career. So even at that, you think how long his career was. He made $50 million. This is more than 20% of all the money he ever made in the NFL in just like one phone call. You imagine his agent calling him like, hey, dude, guess what? Thinking he got some like $50,000 freaking card signing or $100,000 thing or whatever. I don't know if these guys get out of bed for $50,000. Some semi-Packers news. A.J. Dillon put a post up, said, honored to receive the Hometown Hero Award from the Wisconsin State Assembly this week. The mission's always been to help others, even before the Dillon Family Foundation. As the mayor of Door County, the love runs deep, grateful and ready to keep giving back. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, from the news, well, there's one big news thing, I guess, that we'll have to talk about. But finally, before we get to that, I thought this was interesting because everybody got signed for the Packers with the exception of our second-round pick, Anthony Belton. And I said, don't worry about it. Like, it's never a big deal. It doesn't matter. And then the Bengals messed that whole thing up because now they're in an actual contract dispute. And I'm like, well, but that's stupid and that's different. But also, I guess now that rule of don't worry about it goes out the window. And now I kind of have to panic and I don't want to. But then I saw this, which is interesting. Adam Schefter says, heading into the weekend, and less than a month from training camp, only 2 of the NFL's 32 second-round picks have signed. Deals are stalled over whether or not contracts will be fully guaranteed. The only 2 2025 second-round picks now signed are Cleveland's Carson Schwessinger and Houston's Jaden Higgins. So a little bit of extra background into this because it seems kind of weird. And the way Adam Schefter put this out there, it doesn't really give the full context of why there would be a holdup. Saying there's this big thing about what is this new weird thing about guarantees? You know what I mean? That was my question anyways. So first of all, just a little bit of background on the guarantees and whatnot. First round pick contracts are typically fully guaranteed. This has been kind of standard practice since the rookie wage scale got put in place in 2011. So the rookie wage scale just basically, this is how much these guys get, first round, second round, all the way down the line. Kind of just, this is why generally there's not that much to figure out. They tell you how much you have to pay, but the structure is a little bit different. And I guess the guarantees are also, I thought that was a little bit more set in stone than I guess it is. But apparently, second round and beyond is not necessarily that straightforward. Typically, the higher up you are, the more guarantees you're going to get. But second round picks apparently, historically, have not received fully guaranteed contracts. So just to give you a little bit of insight into this, just how big of a gap fully guaranteed is, Javon Bullard last year received $3.8 million in total guarantees throughout the entirety of his contract. I guess the typical structure for a second-year contract, you guarantee the signing bonus, first-year base salary. Sometimes you get partial guarantees in year 2 and 3, and very little, if any, of year 4 is guaranteed. So the total value of the contract is not in dispute. That's set. And then you go from there. The issue at stake with why there's such a big holdup is actually because of the first 2 teams. The reason that fully guaranteed contracts is in dispute is because Cleveland decided, hey, we're going to fully guarantee Carson Schwessinger's contract. And then Houston, actually, do I have that forward or backwards? No, Houston started this bull crap. Houston came out first with Jaden Higgins and said, we're going to fully guarantee your contract. And by the way, talk about like collusion and all this stuff. This is why there is some form of collusion and talking about please don't fully guarantee contract. Because now look at the NFL. We're in a complete stalemate. Houston screwed everybody by coming out and fully guaranteeing Jaden Higgins' contract. And then the very next day, Cleveland's like, oh, okay, we'll do it too. So now the only 2 second-round picks have had their contracts fully guaranteed. And you want to talk about collusion? 0. So basically, every other agent put the brakes on. They're like, whoa. We're not signing for less than fully guaranteed. And teams are going, yeah, you can shove it, buddy. No way. And so now everybody else, 30 teams are in a stalemate with their second-round picks because Houston's a bunch of scumbags. And Cleveland, they're just brain-dead idiots who are like, oh, that's what we're supposed to do, okay. Carson Schwessinger? How do you fully guarantee Carson Schwessinger's contract, you idiots? I hope these guys are the biggest busts in history. But this is the stalemate, and they're looking for something to break. If a third team signs to a fully guaranteed contract, it's a problem. Basically, again, this is sort of like a collusion standoff. All of the agents and players, I guess, but mostly agents, are in lockstep saying, don't you dare break the line. Nobody signs for less than guaranteed. And on the team side, they're saying the same thing. Don't you dare sign another guaranteed freaking contract. And they're trying to get that first one to set off that chain reaction. Just a single team trying to get somebody in the door. Probably trying to appeal to the player. God, listen, the Packers going, saying, look, we don't do this here. We've never done this here. You want to talk about precedent? Fine. I will show you what the Packers do. I will show you what the NFL has done through all of history. The Texans and Cleveland Browns are freaking idiots. We're not doing that. We're never going to do that. You will not get a fully guaranteed contract from us. You need to be here for training camp. End of conversation. So, I mean, this is legitimately, potentially, a bigger deal than people realize. Because if the agents all successfully hold the line, I guess I don't fully know where we go from here. And I can't help but wonder if this whole NIL thing is going to make these things worse because, you go back 5 years, you got a bunch of kids who they don't have a bunch of money in their pocket. Some of them got money snuck into their pocket. I understand that, but that's, a lot of first-round picks and whatnot. It wasn't as many people as today, and especially with this new thing where everybody on the team's about to get paid. These guys have money. They also have higher expectations. You got an agent saying hold out, they're like, okay, that's fine. Whereas in the past, you got a lot more like, I just want to play, I want to start my career, I want to do this thing. I mean, everybody's different. You're bound to have somebody say, look, I just want to play, whatever, I got to prove myself. I'm sure the agents are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that doesn't happen, which is why I said teams have got to be appealing as much as they can to the players. Don't listen to your freaking agent, okay? Get in here. Sign the piece of paper. We're not giving you a fully guaranteed contract. I will give your freaking spot away, though. In reality, I mean, it is sort of a tough sell from the agent side because I think the easy sell here is don't be short-sighted. I think what you do is you pay Zach Tom, and then you go to Anthony Belton and you show him that contract, and you say, do you want to fight for an extra $1 million or $2 million guaranteed, or do you want to fight for this contract over here? If you want this contract over here, get your in our facility now and show that you want this big contract. You're not getting more than what everybody else gets. You're not a special little, tulip. You're a football player that's proved nothing. And you're going to get paid like a football player that's proved nothing. You want a big contract? Come earn it. You want to sit here and cause problems for our team over some piddly nonsense? It's not a good start. I don't care what your agent says. And again, I know that this is agent-driven because players wouldn't think of this, And the Texans, I'm telling you, if this causes serious problems, the Texans and Browns, I will frickin' hate them for a very long time for being so stupid. It's the same reason why there was such a big thing about please don't sign Lamar to a fully guaranteed contract. And I know that's a big deal and collusion's a big deal. Listen, There's a reason. Of course they're colluding. Listen, I would collude. You kidding me? I'd be on the phone with everybody like, hey, guys, listen to me. Please don't do this. You're going to screw all of it. If it directly affects me, I'm going to call somebody on the phone and say, don't do something that negatively affects me. You call that collusion if you want to. I don't give a damn what you call it. If there's a desire for everybody in my neighborhood to start like, hey, let's not mow our lawns and let's spray paint our houses pink. Yeah, I think some of us need to get together and collude with all the other people saying, please don't do that. You're going to drive down my house value. Let's go around the neighborhood like smashing into each other's houses and stealing each other's cars and lighting things on fire. And then when the ones of us that don't ever want that to happen start calling and saying, please don't do that. Oh, you're colluding. That's collusion. That's terrible. That's a horrible thing. Collusion is bad. Bro, shut up. No, you're not allowed to collude. You have to just sit there and let horrible things happen to you. No, I don't. And I won't. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I'm going to call the Baltimore Ravens and say, don't be idiots, please. You want to ruin your franchise, fine, but find a way to do it that doesn't negatively impact me, please, if you could. Let's not ruin every franchise in the NFL. Let's not ruin the entire NFL product because you're an idiot that doesn't know how to structure a frickin' contract. The only other thing that's kind of working in, again, none of this is great, but when the Texans did what they did, which was stupid, Cleveland got put in a real tough spot because the Texans took this with the second pick in the second round. Cleveland was in a real tough spot because their guy was taken first. I don't know why they needed to come out and do it the next day, but, whatever. They kind of screwed Cleveland, and Cleveland just conceded. But everybody else needs to just frickin' not do this. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back and look at the other big news. We'll be right back. All right, let's talk about the big news of the day. Blockbuster trade between the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm kind of glad how this went down. Granted, this may be out there somewhere, but generally the way these things work is somebody like Jalen Ramsey gets traded, and no matter what he gets traded for, Packer fans come out and go, oh, Gutekunst couldn't get the deal. I would have done it for that. As though that's the freaking question. You would have done it for way too much money. It doesn't matter what you would have done it for. The question is, what's the market? And we don't know what the market was. We don't know if this is an overpay or what. We have to assume this was the top offer. We don't know how much over it would be. In this case, however, I think even the biggest, if I can be not nice, casual fans that are out there who just want to sign every big name that's out there because it's going to fix all our problems, and then we win Super Bowls, because obviously that's what all the big teams do that win Super Bowls. They just go out and sign every old, crusted up, washed up, big name for way too much money, and then they win Super Bowls. That's how it's done. Even they have to be sitting back going, frickin' I can't. I just can't this time. So, first of all, the details. June 30th, the Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers engaged in a massive player-for-player trade in which the Steelers received Jalen Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith, as well as a 2027 seventh-round pick for safety Minkah Fitzpatrick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. I'm struggling to wrap my head around this one here, folks. A couple extra little details here. Jalen Ramsey received a $1.5 million raise, increasing his 2025 salary to $26.6 million. The Steelers are covering the majority of his contract, with the Dolphins paying just $3 million in 2025. Jonnu Smith received a one-year $12 million contract extension as part of the deal. Jalen Ramsey's contract, signed with the Dolphins in September of 2024, is a 3-year $72.3 million extension that goes through 2028. Steelers can save, who cares? The Dolphins are going to save nearly $10 million in cap space, so they're getting rid of old guys they don't want and saving money, and getting Minkah Fitzpatrick back, by the way. It's the funny part of this whole situation is that he was initially a Miami Dolphin, and then they traded him away, and everyone said Miami was stupid, and now they get him back. The Dolphins have been trying to trade Jalen Ramsey since April. The GM, Chris Greer, said that Ramsey did not request a trade, but the move was deemed best for both parties. The Steelers have been trying to bolster their secondary, which is hilarious and part of the confusion that I have, considering Minkah Fitzpatrick plays in the secondary. Jonnu Smith, by the way, is being reunited with Steelers offensive coordinator Art Smith. Art Smith is very well known for being a big tight end guy. Really likes his tight ends, likes a lot of tight ends. He's all about the tight ends. He coached him in Tennessee and in Atlanta. The Dolphins, by the way, lost Javon Holland, one of the bright young stars among young safeties, so bringing Minkah Fitzpatrick back made sense. But the other thing that I would say, on top of just genuinely and generally not understanding this. I mean, look, Minkah Fitzpatrick is not, I don't know if he ever was what everybody said he was. He's a solid safety. If you look at his grades, his rookie year was a 62 PFF grade, 59 coverage grade. It was all like run defense. Run defense has honestly been his biggest asset. In 2019, he played part of the year in Miami and part of the year in Pittsburgh, so he didn't even play 2 full years in Miami. He ended up with an 80 grade. So that was where I kind of ate my words a little bit when Miami traded Pittsburgh. I was like, how could you do that? Minkah's the greatest thing in the world. And I was like, he's not that good. And then he had a good year, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's pretty good. The next year in Pittsburgh, 76 grade, 73 run defense, 78 coverage. Okay, yeah, he's good. 2021, played a full season, 57 grade, 45 coverage grade. 2022, he was back to 82. 2023, he played about a half a season, had a 73 grade. 2024, played a full season, had a 65 grade. It was not a good season. So it was bad year, 2 good years, bad year, 2 good years, bad year. His coverage grades were 50, 70, 70, 40, 80, 60, 60. So 3 out of 3, 6, 7 years, 3 out of 7, he's had good coverage grades. So I don't want to pretend that this is some massively elite player. He's been good, and if it follows, I mean, he's only 28, so if it follows the same trajectory, he could have a couple good years still left in him. I mean, he usually has one down year and then a couple good years, so he had his down year. Time for a couple good years. Why not? Jalen Ramsey, it's less about him being, I guess, a good football player. He's been more consistently good than Minkah Fitzpatrick. Although, since getting to Miami, it hasn't been quite as good as it was in LA. And the biggest thing with Jalen Ramsey is that he's almost 31 years old right now. And already, when you look at the contract structure, they're talking about, this is the part I skipped, but it's worth mentioning, I guess. He got a little bit of a raise, and the Steelers have the ability to get out of this contract next year. So if we assume Jalen still has a little bit left in the tank, he'll probably have a good year this year, but it's a very short-term deal. Jonnu Smith is also 30, or he will be roughly 30 by the time the season starts. It really falls in line with exactly what I said before. Whereas before it definitely seemed like it. Now there can be no question. What I said about the Steelers, which it feels like a very non-Steelers thing to do, but I think you have probably a coach and potentially a GM that are on the hot seat. I think it's kind of run its course with Mike Tomlin. He earned a lot of grace being as good as he has been, but he has not brought the Steelers to any form of being kind of a dominant team in a very long time. Not having a quarterback can impact that. But as impressive as it is to take these mediocre to not great teams to, winning records and occasionally playoffs, at some point that grace runs out and enough is enough. And so it seems like they are falling into the trap of what a lot of teams do, which is we need to go absolutely balls to the wall all in this year, and we need to make a massive impact or we're about to get fired. Now, I think what would be fair is for ownership to recognize that Mike Tomlin needs to be given a legitimate chance to prove he's still relevant in today's NFL, and that means we need to get him a quarterback. I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers, although this could be a test run, I guess. If he can get it done with Rodgers, he can get it done with a quarterback. Fine, let's go get a quarterback and let's keep Tomlin. Maybe that's the thing here. That assumes Rodgers plays well, which, we'll see how that goes. But that really does feel like this is a desperation play to go all in this year at the expense of the future, and Minkah Fitzpatrick is kind of evidence of that. Now, again, he's not the greatest in the world, but at 28, he's got 3-4 years left. You traded away a guy that's got 3 or 4 years, and you traded away a little bit of draft capital. You exchanged a fifth for a seventh, and then got a 30 and a 31-year-old that are going to be here probably a year, maybe 2. I don't know. This is very obviously a team that is saying we have to just put everything in this year. And it's kind of depressing to see a team go, quote-unquote, all in, and then you look at their roster and go, okay. I mean, it's not the worst in the world, but, I mean, if this is your all in, I mean, you're not the top team in the AFC. You didn't pull that off. You're not top 2. You're not top 3. You're not even number 1 in your division. Still Baltimore, in my opinion. I don't know if you're number 2 ahead of Cincinnati. I mean, maybe. That's going to depend largely on Rodgers, but, you know, they over there obviously have... You got some good defensive pieces, and if DK and Rodgers and Jonnu Smith and this thing can get running, I mean, who knows what this could be? There's plenty of question marks on whether or not this could work, and it depends on the individual old pieces you got and how much they got in the tank and can put together. That's the other problem with this whole dream team thing with NFL teams. Unlike the NBA, is a lot of moving pieces here. This is a brand new scheme, brand new people, and working together as a team is a big part of the NFL and football and all that stuff. And if you can't do that in a single year, you're going to have problems. And that's always been a problem, especially with Rodgers, because he likes to run very complicated offenses. And, you know, also, you got an offensive coordinator that wants to do things and is bringing in tight ends to do those things, and I don't know if Rodgers is going to play ball with that. He's going to have a way of doing things, and DK doesn't know how to do that, and all these guys don't know how to do that, and Jonnu Smith doesn't know how to do that. How quickly can you cobble this together? And, I mean, I don't know, but I'm seeing videos of Aaron Rodgers at concerts and stuff, and all. It doesn't seem to me Rodgers is spending a lot of time right now with DK Metcalf and Jonnu Smith and the boys trying to get on the same page. It seems to me he's out partying a lot. He's doing Pat McAfee, he's got a new wife, he's going to concerts, he's doing all these things that don't feel to me like he's quite as desperate as Mike Tomlin is. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is a massive desperation play, and I'm just, if nothing else, grateful that we don't have a bunch of Packer fans saying, well, we should have given up Minkah Fitzpatrick because there's no conversion chart for that. And most people overvalue Minkah, so I think most people that are Packer fans would say this is a terrible deal. And so we're off the hook. And the reality is, I think most trades are this way. We just don't realize it. Most teams overpay in terms of money. Most teams overpay in terms of draft capital. It's just that fans undervalue these things, and they overvalue the player. And so when the trade happens, it's like, oh, I can't believe we couldn't have done just that. That's so little. It's not so little. If it was little, it wouldn't have got done for that because other teams would have offered more, except nobody did. I wonder why. Because you're wrong about your perception of how much value that is. One of these days, probably in the near future, we'll have to do another episode, which I've done before, on just looking at the amount of trades that got done and how that panned out. Because we always remember the one or two that worked. We don't seem to remember very well the teams that spent $1 bajillion and missed the playoffs, or the big signings that didn't go anywhere. Boom, that's out of our memory immediately. So we'll have to do another one of those pretty soon. But yeah, the Steelers are gearing up as much as they can for a 1-year solid push. And it might work, I don't know, but this is absolutely a desperation play from people trying not to get fired. Anyways, why don't we take a break? I think I lied to you because I don't want so little time to make fun of the Bears, so maybe we'll save that for tomorrow. Sorry, I'm teasing. It is what it is. I had to get the news in because of this, so it got pushed back. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll do some calls, and then we'll get out of here. We'll be right back. Alrighty. Again, if you'd like to call in, 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. Let's get started with Daniel from California.
Hey, Ryan. Daniel from California.
Yo.
I was just thinking about the defense and just thinking about the secondary, thinking about the depth we have. And, yeah, the corner room, people always talking about the corner room. I probably just called. You probably just went over me talking about the corner room, but I'm fine with the corner room. Just look at our safety room. We got X, right? We got Evan Williams. Evan Williams, as a rookie, he was solid. Let's take another step, even if it's just a little bump up. Like that's a good second safety. That's a really good second safety
Yeah.
compared to what other teams have. You look at Bullard. Bullard had flashes of being a competent football player, but then he has those rookie mistakes that bring his grade down, right? But there's so many times where when he's playing in the box, a nickel defender, where he's running sideline to sideline, and he makes that tackle that we need to make. And like, he's kind of that piece that makes it to where you can play nickel. I remember there was a play in the game where he solo tackled Saquon Barkley by himself, and I'm just like, whoa. And then I remember week one, was it week one? I think he took out A.J. Brown for like part of the game. I don't know, but he hit somebody, and they were rocked for a bit. But he just has to build on his success. Then you got Zane Anderson. Zane Anderson, the game he played was a solid game. So hopefully, I believe he's still on the roster. I'm just going off memory right now. I'm not looking at anything, but you got Zane Anderson, you got Katana Oladapo. That's our safety room. Like, the games that we saw Katana at the end of the season, like, he wasn't too bad either. He was decent. He's better than some of the safeties we've had in the last 5 years. I'll say that. Like, our third safety, like, he's either our fourth or our fifth safety, and he's as good as our third safety a lot of years, right? So there's that. Looking at our linebacker room, we got the two guys we like. Then we got Hopper and Isaiah Simmons. It's like, and we got Isaiah McDuffie. So three of those guys, like, we know what Isaiah Simmons is, right? He's a average to below average player, but then he had some decent play in New York. And if Hafley can unlock just getting him to take a step to just being a baseline player, having your third linebacker in Simmons being a baseline player, that would be great. Having Hopper step up, having McDuffie continue to play the way he plays, like, that's a good linebacker room. Like, our defense isn't as bad as they make it out to be. Our defensive line, it is what it is. I think the new coach will unlock it, but I've got positivity. This defense is ready to start humming. Go, Pack, go.
Well, I mean, I feel like I keep saying this, but our defense was a top 10 defense last year. Do you believe that we're worse than last year? I'm not talking to you, but I mean, for the people that are very angry about the way things are, I know you wish that we went out and got Jalen Ramsey and all the other big name people that you like. But in what way do you expect regression? It shouldn't be the corners. It shouldn't be the linebackers. It shouldn't be the defensive line. It shouldn't be the safeties. I mean, even if you don't believe anyone is going to get better, I don't know what it is that you think is going to get worse. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks. I don't know that Oladapo is better than a bunch of other people. He might be complete dog crap. It's such a small sample size. I have no idea what that guy is. But the bar is so low for a lot of these guys, it's safe to say that most people would be better than our, number one, number two a couple years. But yeah, I mean, when I went through the safety episode, it's certainly encouraging. I mean, there's nobody there that you go, oh, that's a little scary. Everybody is encouraging for one reason or another of the top four. So definitely excited to see what the guys bring. Again, training camp is going to be awesome. It doesn't answer any questions definitively, but it kind of starts to shape a few things in terms of, maybe some expectations for certain key people that you really want some answers on.
Becky, Rambo.
Yo.
Hope this comes through. I'm going to try to talk a little louder because I mumble and sound like an idiot. And I don't like listening to myself that way. So this is probably going to sound a lot better.
Great.
Anywho, I'm listening to the Rodgers thing you're doing, and he's mentioning about what kind of access to information we have.
Yeah.
I thought he was around my age, 42 or some shit. We used to get this thing sent to our house every year. And it had,
I know what you're saying.
essentially the entire town's phone numbers and addresses in them. So I don't know where the hell he's coming from, but it's always been that way. And all of a sudden, he expects some weird expectation of privacy. I don't know. I don't get it. But
it is pretty funny. I remember being in like elementary school, and if I wanted to like play with a friend or something, we would grab the phone book, look up their last name, you know, and just be like, oh yeah, I think that's them. And you would just call this number in the phone book and be like, hey, is there a Jim that lives here? Whatever. Like, it wasn't, it's just, you just call people. And I remember, if you ever needed to call, a car repair shop or anything like that, or there was no, Google Maps, so you just flip through the phone book and find whatever service you're looking for. They had different colors for different things. You had the people in the yellow and the businesses in the white or something like that. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, you just go there and be like, all right, let's call these people and see if they can repair the car, fix my furnace. Yeah, I distinctly, I don't know if it was like for birthday parties or something where you want to invite people. And you could do it in school or whatever, but like if you wanted to call, you could just flip through, or if you're just being nosy, like you just grab your class photo and be like, okay, this is how you spell their, because it's got the pictures with all the names on it and everything. Just flip through and be like, oh, this is their phone number. Did it have address too? I feel like it might have had your address too. I don't remember. But yeah, it's all just sitting there.
I do appreciate the Rodgers content, I want to say.
Good.
As you say, he's a former Packer, and any time he's been in the news, I appreciate the coverage. All right. Watching these guys pull some fiber in front of the house, so I'm feeling like a kid on Christmas. All right.
Yeah, I wanted to agree with him to some point, but he took it a little too far where it just got a little ridiculous with the expectations, and then how, things used to be, or like we're in this age and era now, and it's like, I don't know, dude. I think it's kind of always been that way. It's different, and there's certainly things can really blow up really fast depending on what it is. But yeah, it just is what it is. Like I said, dude, it's a freaking trade-off. You get to be a freaking bajillionaire and live your best life, and you get anything in the world that you want. The negative is when you go somewhere, somebody's going to take a picture of you and be like, I saw him on a beach. Okay? I'll trade with you if you want, okay? I will trade with you. Up to you, Rodgers. Ball's in your court, buddy. What do you want to do? You want to trade? You want this? You can have my house, you can have my cars, and you can have every dollar in my bank account, checking, savings, and you can have whatever the heck is going on in my retirement account, okay? You get all of it. And I'll tell you what, you can even, I won't even take your properties. You can't have it because then, whatever. But I'll just take whatever's in your accounts, all right? I'll get my own house. Houses. Probably won't even get houses. I'll get a house. I don't see the point of houses. I don't want to be in multiple houses. If I want to go visit somewhere, I'm going to go get a nice hotel and hang out for a little bit. Maybe as an investment kind of thing. If you want to do that, okay. But I don't know. I feel obligated to go to those houses. It's like, what if I want to go somewhere else? I don't want to be in that house. And I don't want to neglect the house for like 2 years. But these are the stresses I'm willing to take away from you, Rodgers, okay? Anytime you want, me and my family will take on that burden. When we're traveling around the world, once in a while, people will go, hey, you, look at me. I'm going to take your picture. Yeah, dude, for sure. Anyways, we're going to go into this 5-star restaurant and eat a bunch of steaks. You want to catch us on the way out, too? In fact, give me a copy of that. I want to see if I look fatter, because that's my goal, is to eat as much steak as I can. And if I don't look larger and in pain and sweating, then I failed. So I need you to get some good pictures, all right? Okay, bud. You wait right here while me and my family go eat $100 steaks. I don't know. It sounds like a terrible life, but I'm sure we will manage.
Hey, Ryan, TJ from Alabama.
Yo.
Listening to your little bit of Aaron Rodgers rant, and I got to admit, the guy's kind of interesting. And as Mark Murphy would say, he is a bit of a complicated fella. But you were just kind of going off, and it is interesting. obviously he is interesting. But I was thinking, I wonder if he's even married. I could easily see Aaron Rodgers in the off season saying, the media, they're kind of vultures. I'm gonna throw them a bone out there and just see what they do.
100% could see that. Because I even said, how has nobody seen this person? There are people taking pictures of him out on the beach and he's not with his wife. Like I said, I just saw a video of him at a concert. Was he not with his wife? How do we not know who maybe somebody's seen it and it's already out there and I just haven't seen it. I don't know. But it's my understanding that nobody knows who she is. How? Does Rodgers just go out by himself all the time because she doesn't want to be in the spotlight? And he's like, all right, I'm going to go party. You stay in the house and, clean or something. It's a very traditional marriage. She stays home. I think barefoot and pregnant is the thing that certain people say. She has to do that and he gets to go out and party. Or he just put a ring on his ring finger because he thought it would be funny. Which would explain why David Bakhtiari wasn't at the wedding. I'm just saying. I don't think that's it, but who knows? Who really knows,
It's a ring on. Some woman reporter notices it. Yep. He says, yeah, I'm married. And then he just leaves it at that and sees what happens. And then all of a sudden he notices that, hey, people are interested, paparazzi, whatever. They're trying to get a snapshot of this non-existent wife. And boy, this is annoying to me. And then he gets into gets his undies in a bind over a little bit of that and goes on Pat McAfee and he kind of gets himself wound up. He says, yeah, I'm really mad about this. Everybody's trying to see this wife, even though I just created it out of thin air just to see what would happen. I don't know. Okay, maybe that's a little out there. But
I like it though.
I'm thinking maybe he doesn't even have a wife. He was just doing that, and then it really annoyed him when everybody took the bait.
Yep.
I don't know. That's it, Ryan. Carry on. Thank you. Bye.
Well, I as you know, I love a good conspiracy theory, and that's a real good one. Plus, that they've done this in the past. He and Devontae used to screw around. It's definitely David Bakhtiari's wheelhouse, which is why I said what I said about him and his whole thing. Like, maybe he was actually there, and he's just saying it because it's just their sense of humor. Again, anytime you guys got one of these, I'll take it because I like it. All right, I am going to leave it at that. You all have a fantastic rest of your day. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Got this little band on my finger today. Watch the camera zoom in. What will they say? Sources confirm and inside sources tell. But I'm just here laughing, can't you tell? Been dealing with your questions for 21 years. Your headlines and hot takes, your rumors and fears. So I bought this ring from a pawn shop downtown. Time to watch the circuits come to town. It's just a game I'm playing. Watch them all scramble for what I'm not saying. Every press conference, every little clue. I'm 3 steps ahead of every one of you. It's just a ring on my hand. Who's the mystery woman they're asking around? Brittany, she's my neighbor's dog that I found. But watch them dig deeper, connect all the dots, while I'm over here laughing at all their shots. Kentucky Derby photos, contract signing day. Left hand prominent in every display. Your anonymous sources and close friends who know. It's amazing how far your stories will go. It's just a game I'm playing. Watch them all scramble for what I'm not saying. Every press conference, every little clue. I'm 3 steps ahead of every one of you. It's just a ring on my hand. Shailene, Danica, Olivia too. Made my private I've been playing. Checkmate on everything you've been saying. Every reporter, every talking head, dancing to the tune inside my head. It's just a ring, just a prop in my show.